Chaos Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a muff. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a muff. Smack at it. Bye-ya. Bye-ya. Orale. Let me brush my shoulders off one time before we even get down. As you can see by that thumbnail in a Menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to talk about the new channel in town. Dun, dun, there's a new channel in town. And yes, there is indeed. I write graffiti all over the buses. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, what do you think about that new channel, The Prison Guard? Guard! What do you think? That's my camarada. Calm down, relax. It's not that fucking serious. Anyways, he's a lieutenant, that's it. So you're playing catch up with tomatoes in your back pocket. Trip out on this. The Prison Guard channel. Now, in the prison genre that they try to lump us all in, there's a lot of new channels that are developed every day. People are applying the pressure. They're coming in. They all have something to say. Everybody wants to tell their stories, what they've been through, what they've seen, who they know, who they've heard of. And that's fine. It's absolutely fine, man. YouTube is a platform of entertainment. I want to hear news stories, just like you want to hear news stories. The same old stories become redundant, told by the same old people. That really, a lot of them are made up, or people put too much tapatio on them, or they talk about places that they've never been, secondhand information, things of that nature. And not to woof on anyone or put any fucking, doubt into anyone's mind, but sometimes there's a lot of crema on the tacos. You know what I mean? It's like, birria. And that's just how it is. Now, when I first came across this channel was just the other day. A lot of people were talking about it in my lives, in several other people's lives. Like, hey, have you seen that new channel? And I was like, okay, it's time to sit down, analyze this, give you my perspective of it, and see how it is. See what's up. I've always listened to prisoners speak on certain situations, and I can identify with a lot of things that they've went through. Being incarcerated as a youth, county jails. Every place is different. All the way from Sur Califas to Norte Califas, it's going to be very different. You're going to have some places where you go through R&R, it's a disaster. They're going to sit your punk ass down. Man, this sucks. Can I use the phone guard? Right? You want to get up out of there. You want to get up at the county jail as swiftly and indubitably as you can. Some places you go right through the R&R, right to a cell, a holding tank. Some you sit there for 7 or 8 days downstairs till you get upstairs. Those in LA County know what's up. Now, and that's just based off information that people have told me. See, so I get secondhand. One thing I do know that is for sure is I've been to a lot of different county jails, state prisons in a few different states. So I know exactly what the get down is. Watching this individual, this new channel, The Prison Guard, all I can say is, I said mines. I give my respects. Now, it's good to get a perspective on the other side. On the different side of the block. So what you guys got going over there, guard? You never get to see what goes on behind the scenes from their mentality. So you only get a convict's perspective, right? You only get people that have been locked up who are trooping and marching on one side, whether it be a guy from the northern Califas, a guy from down south, a Crip, a Blood. Sprinkle the woods in, brother. You always got to sprinkle them in. Whatever you get, that's what you got. Okay? And you get that perception. You get that perspective of it. And it's like, okay, but we've heard it time and time again. The shit doesn't change, man. If you're a convict doing time, there's rules and regulations and politics and things that you can't really speak on if you're a real one. When you get so in depth and you're just willing and freely speaking on whatever it is, there's going to be trouble. And, Big Trouble Little China, you'll find that out when that time comes. But there's a lot of things that can't be spoken on. Now, are the handcuffs off when it comes to the prison guard? Is he able and willing to say, all these little secret scroll tactics that they had going on? One never knows, does one, but we will truly find out. I tapped in with this channel. I think it was one about the Perro Chatos, about the Fresno Bulldogs that he did. And he basically let people know, kind of a little bit of history on the Bulldogs and exactly what was going on with them and how they were a renegade group, just such as I had said, a group that is against the grain, a group that does what they does and has no love or no love lost for anyone else. Kind of that them guys in the middle, Central Khalifa style, whereas they do go at it with North or South. Now they have a rich, deep history of at some points in times, banding together, as in why they banded together with the Southsiders for a minute or two. And then, of course, there was a red light put on them from the South for a while. Now it's full go, according to what we see. And now the way that the administration is doing them, placing them here and there in different places, using them as the chess piece, to try to bring everyone together is, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate what they're going through. But anyways, he gave us his perspective, and I thought he was dead on. I thought the way he did it was intelligent. I thought the guy had charisma. And I just liked hearing it from a different perspective of the prison guard side. There's so many different things that we don't know what goes on behind those closed doors while they're eating donuts and drinking coffee. We'll never know, what they think about people. Now, I've met some prison guards that were cool. Some that were just there to do their pinche job. Guard! Like the was over here. The one that's over here fucking always grabbing his pipa. There's some guards that, like I said, are there just to do their time, just to do their job. Not even their time, their job. They got families. They're just trying to make a little bread, go home, take their little Hawaiian vacation. It is what it is, Can't lie, man. I got friends that used to say, hey, when I grow up, I'm going to be a correction officer. Is that right, but also you had a DUI last month. Did I? To what degree of DUI? I don't spell that shit. D-U-I. You know what I mean? D-U-U. Not me. Not I. You. These guys, I don't know what it entails if you need a GED or a high school diploma or whatever. We used to make fun of them back in the days. Mira te vato, big old fucking fat idiot. You know what I mean? We call him tortugas. He's all slow and shit, walking with hair growing out of his neck, and a mole on his neck. We used to clown on him because, of course, it was them versus us. Okay? It was always them versus us. And I'm not talking north and south. And I'm not talking sangre and gripa. I'm talking about us versus the canine. Us and the administration. The other guys greed. Them. Right? And we never looked at them as, okay, they're just men, until the time came when it was time to bleed. Then it was just men. Then it was just for men. Then anybody can get it. You wearing a green suit didn't matter because we were wearing that blue suit. Nothing changed there. We were all, I'm only human, born to make mistakes. Now, there were a lot of correction officers that would judge you because of the mistakes you made. See, the whole concept of doing time is doing time because you messed up. Okay, that's your punishment, doing time. How long I got? This is 7 years. Fuck. How long I have to bring? 7 years, puto. There's no way I could flip that, reverse it. Is it worth it? No, there's no way. Okay, you're going to do 7. 11. Bring it to him. Somewhere along the line, you fuck up. Next thing you know, you're doing life. That same correction officer, he's going to go home every night. Bone the shit out of his wife, maybe even yours if he runs into her at the club. What I'm saying is 2 different playing fields here. But everybody sees the same thing. Or do they? The perception of one might be different, but one never knows those one. The wind blows. Now, I never judged a man just because of his jale. I never judged a man. Now, I walked on eggshells around certain black guys. I call them cops, but COs, just because of their attitude towards, inmates or convicts. But a lot of them knew how to treat convicts and differentiate the difference between a convict and an inmate. See, an inmate was someone that just got there, didn't really know what was up, was wet as fuck behind the ears, wasn't laced up in the game, didn't really know what was going on, but didn't necessarily mean that he wasn't about to, or didn't necessarily mean he wasn't down to program and function according to his people's agendas. He just was new to the game. That's what they consider an inmate, and I could spot one just like a CO could spot one. Everybody knew what time it was. In fact, they had the leg up because they had the paperwork. So they knew what everybody was in there for, everybody's attitudes. They knew everybody's history. If you done told before, they knew it, right? If you were a solid motherfucker that couldn't be played with or shouldn't be messed with, they also knew that. They knew who to mess with and who not to. They knew who to give a little bit more respect to. Put some respect on my name, mister. And those that they could just shit all over. And believe me, they took full advantage of that. Now, there were COs that were cool. You could actually conversate with them, not know you couldn't get deep in conversation. To what degree of fraternizing with the canine you could do was very minimal. But they were the types like, hey man, I got my home. If you're in the OA, can you pass him this salt bar? Can you give him this envelope? Yeah, I got you. They weren't tripping. It wasn't no big deal. As long as they didn't break the rule, as long as you didn't get at them to that degree of whatever, then it was all good in the hood. This guy strikes me as one of those. Even though he was a lieutenant, and a lieutenant's high ranking, he worked his way. He worked his way to get up to that position. He strikes me as the type of individual that was not going to punish you for doing time, but was going to be straight by the book and straight up with you. And those are the ones that I could appreciate. I ran into a CO in Susanville. And he actually was like a gang, like a gang expert or whatever he was, man. This is the story he told. I don't know. I can just fucking, but he used to walk around the tiras and talk to everybody who was everybody. So he knew exactly what was up. Like I said, he had our G files. He used to come to my cell and he said, I don't know, how about the new one? How it was in my file? He was like, I heard you could draw a little bit, tattoo a little bit. I said, to what degree? Who said that? Motherfucking snitch ass motherfuckers around here, right? He was like, nah, trip out. I got a lot of artwork from a lot of known people, or a lot of artwork from a lot of gang members. I wanted to add something to my my office. And I said, no, hold on now. What you want me to draw? So I ain't even gonna lie, I drew a big old corrections officer eating a donut. He was laughing about it, but he took it, right? He used to do a lot of bottles for us, pass messages, like, just innocent stuff. Hey, tell my homeboy over there on the other side. I said, what's up? He said, okay. And you'd see him. He'd actually be pointing like, hey, he's over there, your homeboy. That was cool. The way that he fraternized with people, the way he carried messages. Now, you knew not to tell him too much. Of course, he was gang intention. He was a gang expert. He's going to fucking flip that and reverse it on you quick if he could. But he kept it civil. And that's the way to keep it with the officers, is civil while you're in prison. You always need to understand that they have the keys at the end of the day, and the guns. Okay, all we have is a pedazo in our ass and a whole bunch of politics. We ain't got much. But what we got, we make do with. Okay? As long as the understanding is there between two grown men that we're on opposite sides of the fence. You are here to watch me. I am here to watch you. Watch me. Then that's what's up. Now, with the CO's new channel, The Prison Guard, I like the way that he expresses his stories from that other side. That other perspective. The way he tells them, he's pretty straight up, man. I've had no problems with what he said. Like I said, at first I listened to the Bulldog one. Now I've listened to a couple other ones. And I appreciate, the entertainment. I appreciate the education. You always strive for more education. You always strive for just a little bit more. Do I recommend his channel? Absolutely. If you like to be entertained, if you want to hear prison stories, if you want to get it from a different angle, from an intelligent angle, if you want to kind of get it and hear and see what goes on behind those closed doors that we're not allowed to see, when they're in that break room, or what the administration is thinking and the reasons why they do what they do. I'm sure even as a lieutenant, he was privy to a lot more than, of course, we were. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that he didn't even know, that was tripping him out. I'm sure he has a lot of material and a lot of things to bring to the table. Of course, when you're new to YouTube, your story hasn't been told yet. It might have been written, but it hasn't been told. So only that man could tell it. Now, when people ask me, what do I think about him? I mean, as a man, I respect him. I respect him. I don't know him, but I respect him. He's never disrespected me, so there is no reason for me to disrespect him. Hey, Gunner, what do you think he's here? Is he a plant? No, I plant what? I think he's pretty straight up with saying it with his chest on power, bro. I think he's an ex-CO, just like he says he is, and this man has stories to tell, to entertain you and me, and I would like to hear him. I would like to hear more. Now, one thing that I do understand that is he only worked down south. So he never had a taste of up north. He never really was too familiar with the norteño raza. He never had too much interaction with norteños. So for the northerners that do watch him, you're not going to hear the stories that you want to hear if you're into hearing about your people. Okay? Doesn't mean he doesn't know what norteños are, and he doesn't know what CDCR rules were going on when it comes to them, as well as placements, where they were at, certain yards. I'm sure he knows a lot. I know that all correction officers, from what I hear, and I don't bone to two or three of them in my lifetime, and I have homeboys that do too. Even to this day, bang bang. They do get like a little list, or they can get at people what's going on, what's happened in certain institutions throughout the state of California, kind of a heads up. So that way they could gauge the temperature of these yards. Like, they tripped out, they smoked someone in New Folsom, booked them, right? Then a vato en Centinela, a placa is going to get that, that addendum, or that memoriam, or whatever it is, memorandum, to let them know, so that way when they go hit that yard, if there's any tension, they could spot that. That's just part of what they do. Now, a lot of these COs, the majority of them went to the military, so they're military trained. A lot of them are trained in tactics of war and things of that nature. So these vatos are not to be slept on. It's not like they're punks, man. It's not like you're going to go in there and just smack on one of them. No, they'll smack back. I remember when I was in Tracy Prison, there was one that nobody liked. He was a pretty straight up dude. I never had no conflict with him or anything. He fucking turned the key. I tried to unturn it. That's what it was. But this Vato would always, it seemed like the Africano brothers always had a bone to pick with him. They didn't like him. He was an Africano. They would call him a sellout or an off-brand or whatever. And one thing I learned in prison with my people when I was in the mix was we don't disrespect the canine and we don't fraternize with them. Meaning we're not going to sit there and have a fucking conversation and talk about, hey, my people's hella big. Is yours bigger than mine? Because mine's big, right? Guard! We didn't have that. There was no over familiarization with them. It was kind of just like, hey, here's your lunch. Okay, I'll take that. And that was it. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hasta la fucking get out of my fucking the window. You know, I'm trying to do count. That's what it was. But with these Africano brothers, man, they would get into it. They got over familiar with this guy where at first they played with him and they got cool. And then when he wasn't trying to play one day, then it was fuck you, pay me, right? And one day, one of them, he was a sangre from Modesto, from Oak Street, right? Bedrock. He gets at one of that CO and he's like, they start getting into a shouting match, a disrespectful match. I'm a few doors down, so I could hear what's going on. Next thing you know, that motherfucking door pops and that CO went in there and beat every square inch of that dude's ass. He mopped him up, man. There was nothing but chicken grease and motherfucking baby oil all over that cell. He put tips on him. You know what I mean? That bro came out like, oh, boom! Right, he got fucked up. That cop came up buttoning his shit up. I thought he boned him. I didn't know what happened in there. Maybe he did. To what degree, I can't call it. You know what I mean? Shout out to Bedrock, though. But I know he made that. He can make that bed right, yeah. It sounded like some extracurricular activities going on there. But one thing I do know is for sure is that dude handled his business. So you can't underestimate a correction officer. Now, when it comes to this CO right here on YouTube, the stories that he's been through, things that he's seen, I'm very intrigued by it. I think his channel will prosper as long as he does the gun rules. Okay, and I'm going to give it to him right here direct. Stay humble, stay consistent, and stay real. Those are the three things I tell everybody. That's the only game I can give you. You know, I know it's not asked, but I hope it's received with respect. Now, I know this man doesn't probably watch too many prison channels, or maybe he does. But what the perspective that he's giving and the way he's giving it, you know, is to be accepted and respected by all people because, hey, it's always good to learn new things, to hear new stories. You know, if I see some bullshit and I say, hey, come on now, man, you know that, you know, I'll call it, this guy used to be a lieutenant. There ain't nothing he ain't done seen or heard. I promise that. You know, pegadas, things of that nature. I'm sure he could tell you some crazy stories. Now, to what degree of story he's going to tell us, if he's going to go in depth, he's going to get detailed. One never knows, does one. I guess we're going to have to sit down, wait and see. It's still early in his YouTube career. But one thing I can say for sure is I'm very interested. It's piqued my interest. It's definitely a channel that I'm going to stay tuned into. I'm going to respect. Have I talked to this guy? No, I'm sure I could reach out and talk to him if I needed to. But I have not. Like I said, I'm a very busy individual. And especially now with all this weird shit going on with people hating on me, now I got more on my plate, you know. To what degree of paying attention I'm going to do to that? None. But you know what it is. Anyways, so I recommend this channel. For those of you that asked me the question, have I watched it? What do I think about it? I think it's a fairly new channel, but it's good. There's a lot of other prison channels I watch as well. You already know, man, the representation of the convict is real on YouTube. Like I said, I don't consider myself a prison channel. I consider myself a brown man that's been in prison, that has a few stories to tell, but I'm gonna talk about a lot of shit. So you know what I mean? I'm talking about banging tortas and all, man. With the comedic twist, it's just the way I bring it to you. This guy's a little bit more serious, if you guys like the seriousness of it. And he did that. You know, how long will these stories last? One never knows, does one. I'm hoping he stays consistent because I like the way that he delivers them. It's always the delivery and not always the message. But with that being said, gente, you know, that's what I think. I hope that answered your question for those of you that are like, hey, what about that prison guard? Fuck, he's a guard, eh? Again, he's here to lock our asses up, lock our brown asses up. What makes it even more better for me is that he's a brown man. That shows you, man, you don't always have to be on one side of the thing. You could always do it. You know what I mean? This guy, I don't know, man. I was doing time. I mean, that about was fucking over there handcuffing people. Hey, we all did time together, you know? You know what I mean? The Vato just trying to do his pinchy job. Yeah, now he's talking about it. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the struggle. It's all about the strive. One more thing I wanted to say that just hit my motherfucking mentality one time because I knew better. I knew I could do better. How are the gangs and the prison groups going to feel about a CO speaking maybe a little bit in depth about their group? I'm sure they're not going to like it. I'm sure they're not going to be feeling it. And just because you're a prison guard doesn't mean you could talk about anything you want or you could disrespect people and not respect what they got going on. Always remember to stay on your P's and Q's. Cross your T's and dot your I's, because, you know, the game ain't free. The game is to be sold, not to be told. You know, when you definitely give up too much and you think you're in a position of superiority because you once were at a holiday, you're not now. So pay attention and be aware, sir. With that being said, man, Moose Move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming to you, man. I recommend the Prison Guard channel. Go peep it out if you haven't already. Like and subscribe, man. Show that man some love. You know, he's out there telling his story. You know, his story needs to be adhered to. And that's just real talk. Anyways, if you like this, hit that like and subscribe with a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the 76er crown. Yes, I said 76er, even though I was born in 78. I still fucks with it one time. Dr. J, you already know what it is all day. We're going to continue to strive and struggle for what I truly believe in, man. That's the coming together of all people, realness. You know, none of that bullshit. I'm not here to disrespect anyone every single day. You know, don't make it about me. Make it about you. This is the gun. Bang, bang. And in that fashion.